This is a public service announcement. This video is not meant to be taken too seriously, and should you choose to do so, you do so at your own risk. The creator of this video cannot be held responsible for you taking this too seriously. Thank you, and enjoy the show. Some of woodworking's greatest mysteries remain unanswered to this day. I don't have the answers, maybe you do, but I'm going to present to you today a few questions and perhaps you can help me come up with the answers to these. If you do have an answer, please leave it below because I genuinely like to know. The first mystery I present to you is, where exactly are we supposed to mark and where exactly are we supposed to cut? I've got a variety of rulers here. They all have slightly different size markings for where the measurement is. Should I be cutting halfway through my line? Should I be removing the whole line? Should I be removing none of the line and cutting exactly on the other side of it? What really is 3 inches? I don't know. I just kind of cut and hopefully it is. And maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe you can let me know. Where the heck am I supposed to cut to get exactly 3 inches? Mystery number 2. Why do stain makers continue to make stains named after actual hardwoods and they don't actually look like the color of the hardwood? I've used this cherry stain for a long time and I like the color, but it doesn't actually look like cherry. It doesn't look like fresh cherry or aged cherry. It looks like you took some aged cherry, exposed to sunlight for a while and then mixed in the orange color that Wen Tools uses. It's way too orange. How can they not get the color right? Mystery number 3. How thick is a thin piece of wood or a piece of veneer? I like toying around with cutting thin slices of wood and I've always wondered, what makes it a veneer versus just a really thin slice of wood? This is about, I don't know, a 32nd of an inch thick. It's very brittle. It feels closer to veneer, but a lot of veneer you buy is like a 64th of an inch. This is a little under an 1/8 of an inch. Is this really thin wood? If I glue it on top of other wood, does it become veneer all of a sudden? What exactly is the thickness that makes something a veneer versus just a really thin piece of wood? Mystery number 4. Are Crocs the official shoe of the small shop woodworker? I ask this only because I've seen a few people in videos also wearing Crocs. I've been wearing Crocs for probably, 10 years now, maybe more than that. They're one of my favorite shoes. I have their sandals. I have some other versions of them. Unbelievably comfortable. And it just seemed a little odd to me that numerous people I've seen videos of also wear Crocs in their wood shop. To me, they seem like a great but also terrible wood shop kind of shoe, right? Like, this isn't a lot of protection. It's real soft and there's nothing back here. But at the same time, I have concrete floors. They're incredibly hard. I'd probably have back problems. I probably will have back problems eventually, but these really soften the blow for me. As long as they're fresh, they've got a decent amount of traction. They're breathable in the summer when it gets extremely hot and humid and sweaty in here. I don't know. Are they the ultimate woodworking small shop hobbyist shoe? Mystery number 5. How did extremely bright colored epoxy river tables become a thing? And is that gone forever? Recently, I've noticed that most of the epoxy videos have some kind of blackish epoxy or almost totally clear epoxy. But there was that phase, 20, 21, 22, something like that, where everything was extremely bright colored epoxy. Now, personally, it's not my taste, and God knows I don't have the money to fill a giant table full of epoxy. But what happened to that? It seemed like everybody was buying them or building them at some point over the last 5 years, and they just vanished. I mean, people were making epoxy blue cutting boards at one point, but now all I see is black epoxy, which personally I find much better in taste, but that's just me. Are the colored ones ever going to come back? For the people that have them in their house, do they still like them, or is that kind of like a, ooh, that's really bright? Mystery number 6. Are you sure I can't build it for less? I've got some tools. Surely I can build it for less, right? Even to this day, I find myself asking this. I need to build something to hold receipts. I'm building it myself, cheap pine, etc., etc. But if I go online and I look for a little kind of box thing with sliding drawers coming out that I can sort things into, I could probably get something for like $40. And considering the time I'm going to put into this, I'm going to spend way more if I were to charge myself per hour to do that. But are you sure I can't do it for less? Because what if I could? Mystery number 7. I think this is an interesting one. When do we stop being beginner woodworkers and move into kind of that intermediate area? It feels like no one is ever a master woodworker until you're somebody selling extremely expensive furniture, or you've got a large shop, something like that. Most people are either beginner woodworkers, somewhere in this middle part, and then a few people make it to this mastery level. But where do we stop being beginners and become intermediate level? I think I'd call myself an intermediate level woodworker. I'm certainly not a master, but I don't know, 4 or 5 years in, something like that, but still a lot to learn, a lot of tools I don't own, a lot of things to do. Am I still a beginner? Am I intermediate? And at what point does that kind of shift over? I don't know. It's a mystery. Suddenly one day we're all not beginner woodworkers, and the day before we were. Mystery number M. How many colors can I fit into a cutting board? 3? 14? How many strips of different individual colored wood can I possibly fit in a cutting board? Because it seems like no one has ever answered that, and a lot of people have tried. Question number M. How many different colors of wood can I fit into a cutting board? Now, I don't mean to give any offense here to anyone who's really into putting 8 different types of wood in a cutting board. I've just noticed recently I've seen people sticking more and more and more into a cutting board. They want 4 different exotics: maple, cherry, walnut, purple heart. All of it's in there. Just how many can we fit into a cutting board before it explodes? Mystery number 8. Speaking of cutting boards and exotic woods, why don't retailers have to disclose that those woods don't maintain that color forever? It would be kind of weird if a clothing supplier knew that their t-shirt was going to go from blue to muddy brown at some point and didn't disclose that. We'd all say this feels kind of like fraud. But wood suppliers can sell these really bright, freshly planed pieces of exotic wood: greens, oranges, reds, blues, purples, well, maybe not any blues, greens. There's definitely a green, I'm pretty sure. But they all brown to somewhat over the years. Some of them look better. I think this is Purple Heart. It's kind of got this brownish, maroonish color to it, but it's certainly not the purple that it was when I originally got the piece. Why don't wood suppliers have to disclose this so that people know going in? People love early on to buy those really nice exotic woods. Very cool colors. They almost don't look real at first. They're extremely expensive, but after a while, a lot of them fade to some shade of colorished brown. I don't know. What's up with that? Mystery number something. Why, as woodworkers, do we all hit a point where we are compelled to point out our mistakes to other people? I know you've done this before. If you've built any project, or at least more than one, there's been a point where you've made a mistake and you've just had this burning desire to share it with someone. Why does that happen? And why does it seem to happen to all of us? Is there something when we breathe in the sawdust, we're compelled to point out mistakes? I mean, look at this. You see this gap right here? What if nobody knew? What would happen if I didn't tell you? I don't know. It's a mystery. Mystery number whatever, the last one. Speaking of being compelled, why as woodworkers are we compelled to build custom storage for everything? You get a new tool, you get something, and you just have to build something that holds it perfectly, or at least holds it in some way. You can't just stick it down sitting on a tabletop somewhere. It has to be held in something that you make yourself. Case in point, I got a microphone not long ago. I needed to build a box to store my microphone in. Why? Well, I can't just let this thing sit out. It's got to have a nice box to sit in. I've got all of this stuff back here. A screwdriver. I have a thing that holds a screwdriver. That's ridiculous. This little inker thing, it's got to be held nice and up. I wanted a pen over here. I decided to make it so it could flip out. Why? I don't know. It's an absolute mystery. What is the answer to that? Thank you for joining me today, and hopefully if you have any answers to my mysteries, you can leave them below. I'm obviously going to end this video not knowing any of these myself. Hopefully you can help me though. Bye. Okay, no. Keep serious. Serious face. Bye.